Good day, folks. I'm Matt Harshbarger. I'm a senior here in the School of Digital Arts. And today I'm going to be asking questions to the Marshall Bowler so you, that's right, you, can get to know some fun facts about him. To begin, why don't you start with introducing yourself?
All right, so I am the Marshall Bowler. I'm 21 years old, and this is my fourth year at WSU, but I'm still classified as a junior. I'm pursuing a degree in filmmaking along with a minor in theater.
What brought you to Wichita State?
So it all started when I was 9 years old. I was watching this telecast for a national bowling championship where I first heard about Wichita State. They were competing for a national title where they finished as runner-up, lost to Weber International, a university up in Lake Wales, Florida. And I didn't think anything of it at first. I mean, I was obviously a kid at the time, but as I started bowling more, I heard that they were one of the top, they had like one of the top bowling programs in the nation. And then as I started applying for colleges, this school was like one of the only schools that had what I was interested with, which was filmmaking. And that's how I ended up here, and the school is great.
What do you feel like is different living in Wichita, Kansas versus where you're from?
So I'm from Houston, Texas, and what I feel like is different living here in Wichita, Kansas is it's more rural, and I often see a lot of banged up cars driving around, and also there's no Whataburger because it's Kansas, it's not Texas, and you only find Whataburger in Texas. And a fun fact is that I actually often do get homesick, and I think the school is still great though. It's just not used to living in more rural areas. Since I've been living in Houston all my life, I'm used to seeing more buildings, and I also can't forget to say that traffic is definitely much worse in Houston than it is here. It's one of the good things about Wichita actually is that traffic is definitely not crazy that often.
So what do you like about the university?
I'd say there is a fair amount of things I like about the university. I mean, I know one of my most favorite things is that we have bowling lanes on campus, the Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes down at the Radigan Student Center, which I think is pretty convenient for a bowler like me. It's where the team goes to practice, and it's where we have our tryouts. And I like how they provide the sport shot conditions, which are the types of lane conditions that the professionals bowl on, and also the type of lane conditions that the team bowls on for tournaments, national competition. And I also have the convenience of, since I live on campus, I just have the bowling alley right there. I don't have to drive to a bowling alley unless it's for league or something. I can just walk there, and they also have lockers that you can rent out for a year, for a semester, and where you can keep your equipment there. That way you don't have to be dragging these 3 bowling ball totes and carrying all that weight through campus, because it's definitely not good to be carrying that much weight before you bowl, because it'll just wear you out. And I also like how we have Office of Disability Services, and I'd say it's probably something that you probably wouldn't, the type of accommodation, they provide accommodations that you probably wouldn't get at any other university. And And see, I remember in high school, I I used to have accommodations, and where I needed extra time on assignments, where I went with a teacher to a different classroom while the main classroom was taking their tests, and I did my own with the teacher in a group of with students that are similar to me. And since I have ASD, it was it was very convenient for me since I am diagnosed with autism, and I think the Office of Disability Services is great. They also, there's CAPS. Where you can it's counseling and prevention services, where you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with a counselor at the Student Wellness Center. It's definitely important to have, and I also like how we have our own YMCA on campus. We actually have two gyms on campus. We have the YMCA, and we also have the Heskett Center, which is where they have the second campus gym. It's much smaller, less crowded, and not only do they have two gyms, but they also have a training program called F45, where it's a 45-minute workout free for WSU students. And I think it's really cool, actually, how we have that, because see, if F45 is not just at WSU, it's also it's also outside of WSU. And I was told that the membership is probably over $200. And it's a really good workout program because they have you, they actually push you to work. And it's I've been going there for the past 3.5 years, and I've made a few friends along the way, and I love it. It's really good, and yeah, I think that's and I can't forget about the Shocker Career Accelerator, because recently I just found out that you can set up appointments with the staff at the Career Accelerator, because they can help you find things when it comes to campus jobs or internships, remote or in-person, entry-level internships, all those good things. And that's all I have on what I like about the university.
So why did you choose to major in film and minor in theater?
Yeah, so before I get to that, I actually wanted to share, when I first came to college, I actually later realized, I was like, I don't know what the heck I got myself into. At first, I wanted to major in film because I wanted to learn how to go big on YouTube, because as some of you guys might know, or even if you don't know, that's okay too, but there are even some people who do YouTube for a living, and that was what I was aiming for at first, until later I realized that, people who make, millions of dollars from YouTube is mainly people who do things that are not quite in line with what I do out in life, which, crazy things that I do not want to be involved with. It's you can do something, simple, whether it be making food videos, or documentaries, instructional videos on sports, but actually something cool that inspired me to dive more deep into film was it happened during the summer of 2022, where my family and we went to pick up furniture that we bought from this family out in Montgomery, Texas, which is just outside of Houston. Since we own a second house, so my family and we own two houses. Our main house is in the Katy area, but we own a ranch in Red Rock, Texas, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from Austin. And we purchased that house, 16 acres of land in 2021. And when we went to pick up furniture, it was at a neighborhood of these big houses, which were very nice. And it's funny enough how it actually inspired me to dive more deep into film. Not that I, want to be rich or anything, but I mean, it'd be nice, but I mean, at the end of the day, what matters is is that I have a degree and find a job where I can make a decent living and provide well for myself and when I'm married as well. And I also chose to minor in theater because it actually happened recently, where last fall semester of 2023, I went to watch this theater show out in the Wilner Auditorium here at Wichita State, and I also saw The Little Mermaid in the spring semester of 2023, and such great shows. And I used to do theater in I did theater all my years in middle school, and but I stopped after my sophomore year in high school because it just didn't seem to be as fun or like attention grabbing for me like it was for me in middle school. And there were quite a few things that I found to be weird, like like I was told that it's bad luck to say good luck. Instead we say break legs, and I kind of found that to be really weird. And I mean, if you, the audience, can tell me why in theater we say break legs instead of good luck. I mean, I don't really see a difference because, I mean, doesn't it mean the same thing? But anyways, after I watched these theater shows here in Wichita, it kind of, it was bringing back some good memories from when I used to be in theater. And another fun fact I wanted to share is in the spring break of 2022, I went on this camping trip with a Christian club called Young Life. It was in Williams, Arizona, and and there was one day where, they were, organizing a talent show where anyone could join, and then I made the decision to join. And it was at first I was gonna act out a scene with with someone else, but I couldn't find a partner to work with. So I did I lip synced a song, and I ended up winning that talent show. And I mean, even though at the time my theater days were over, it was I still had that theater mojo in me, and turns out I ended up being the first person from our school to win that talent show, and it felt really good. And the shows I watched here in Wichita just brought back some memories and convinced me to return to theater. And I'm glad I'm back in theater, and I hope I get to do more acting in the future.
What else are you passionate about besides your college major?
So besides my college major, I'm really into martial arts, and I'm also a bowler. I've been bowling for about 9 years now. Actually, this upcoming summer, it'll mark 10 years since I started bowling competitively.
What makes you passionate about the things you do besides your college degree? And how long have you been involved?
So besides my college degree, once again, I've been bowling for about 9 years, and you know, bowling for me, it all started back when I was about 5 years old, after my parents took me to a birthday party at this bowling center. This was for my cousin. They took me to this bowling alley where I got to bowl for the very first time. And it was actually the first, like, where I bowled my very first bowling league when I started bowling competitively. It's been around, this bowling center has been around for quite some time. I think it opened in like 2005, and after that, my parents then took me to this other bowling alley in Katy. These bowling centers were both in Katy, but the second one they took me to was actually one where they used to go on dates before I was born, and it was not far from the very first house I lived in after I was born. And you know, they took me bowling more for fun, and then around that time, was where I heard about professional bowling on TV, and then while I did start bowling when I was, while I did really like bowling from the time I started going, like with my parents just for fun, I didn't get involved with it until I was about 12. And I used to, as the years went on, I, was watching bowling on TV. I used to have these bowling sets when I was a kid, and whenever I'd have those bowling vibes, I would grab my bowling set or say, "Hey mom, hey dad, can you take me bowling?" And then around the summer of 2015, my dad finally found me a youth league on Saturdays at this at the bowling center where I went to for the very first time. And then when I started bowling competitively, I've been trained by a few coaches who taught me how the right approach to physically release a bowling ball, such as where to stand on the approach, what is your hand position like, how to make a ball curve, and I also learned some bowling ball specs, such as the core and what it features. Like bowling balls these days feature AI tech and different types of cover stocks, and there's actually been a lot of really good bowling balls coming out lately with the latest technology. and it's just awesome. And I also, bowling league was a great place to make some friends, and it's where you know, at the age of 12 is where I, was getting where I started getting my own bowling equipment, and it's amazing. I mean, it's the only sport that probably caught my eye, and I, after I started bowling my first league, I then began competing in local tournaments, bowling pro-ams with professionals, and then as I started growing and the years went on, I began bowling these regional or national events, and now my dream as an athlete is to become one of the best bowlers in the world. And another thing about my bowling career is that I did start off bowling one-handed, but then at the age of 17, I post-COVID, I switched to bowling two-handed now. And the reason for that is because two-handed bowling is, dominating the sport, and it's I'd say about 80% of the bowlers today are two-handed, and a lot of two-handers are becoming the best in the world, making these national teams, winning national tournaments, and I like the idea that I became a two-handed bowler. I actually think it suits me better, and I'm really hoping I can make more progress with that. I mean, by continuing to practice more, getting trained by my coaches, and as for martial arts, so I took my first martial arts class when I was 8, and I wasn't, I mean, at the time I wasn't really, I didn't really have a passion, and I think the reason why I joined martial arts was because around that time was when the 2010 remake of The Karate Kid released, and also a year later they were releasing Kung Fu Panda 2. And then, after a year, I didn't really, I suddenly realized that, it didn't really interest me at the time. And then I just quit after 1 year. But then, years later, in martial arts, I've come and gone. I've been, when I got to high school, I rejoined martial arts, but it was a different one. It was called Krav Maga. It's a martial art that comes from Israel, and it's a really good martial art when it comes to street fighting. And I joined it because in high school I wasn't always comfortable in high school because I felt that the environment felt so toxic for me, and I always felt that people were making fun of me, and it was just not a suitable environment for me, and it's not at all that I wanted to hurt anybody, because see, the truth about martial arts is you use it as a last resort if you can't run away from someone who's trying to hurt you. And and I just used it to kind of gain self-confidence. But then after a year in Krav Maga, my mom told me about my mom and I talked about getting a membership with a local gym in my area in Houston, which never happened. And then COVID hit, and then I come to college my freshman year. Around that time is where I finally watched the original Karate Kid films, and then and it was also to gain confidence being around, while college definitely feels better, I still sometimes can be like you can get a little nervous around certain people. And then I rejoined Krav Maga here in Wichita at this martial arts dojo, which called Empower, owned by a company called ATA. And it was I was there during the spring semester of 2022, and I had fun in the class. The instructor was really cool, and made some friends. Then my sophomore year, I take another year off, my sophomore year in college, and couldn't really afford it at the time. And but then I hear when in my junior year, or last fall semester of 2023, I'm at the gym, and I find this flyer that about jiu-jitsu classes at WSU, which I was like, man, I definitely gotta join this, and I did, and then like during the middle of the spring semester of last year, 2024, or it's still 2024 now, but I'm referring to last spring semester, and it was I joined kickboxing as well, and meaning that I had and I'm glad that I joined, because I had both jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, and I plan on rejoining the kickboxing club as well as the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club this year.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I'm Matt Harshbarger, and this...
I'm Marshall Bowler.
Thank you so much for featuring me in this video.
No problem. And thank you guys for tuning into today's video. We hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.